right, the big question is, what is classified as multifamily units?
This video was sponsored by
Nothing beats being here in person, meeting face to face, and having that energy and that experience live.
What I love about apartments is really the cash flow.
You only have the one building, you only have the one property manager, but yet you have several doors.
I thought you had to have a big bankroll behind you in order to be able to do it. And what I've learned from Whitney and Jason is that that's just not the case.
You can do this, anyone can do this.
It's made me so much more confident as an investor because she's there when I need her for anything.
This is the course designed for ladies just like you to help you move from houses into the lazy lady landlord lifestyle of apartments, which is a lot more money and equals a lot more fun.
So the biggest difference in multifamily units and the biggest classification in multifamily is the last word. All right, we can talk about multifamily, but are we talking multifamily residential, multifamily commercial? Multifamily residential is a duplex, 2 units, a triplex, 3 units, and a quadplex, 4 units, okay? That property is still zoned residential. There could be a single house there, or there could be a quadplex there. It could be one building with 4 units, 4 electric meters, 4 heat and air units, 4 water meters, 4 everything, and it would still be considered residential. Now, when there's 5 units or more under the same roof, now it's commercial real estate. 5 is the magic number to bump it over to commercial. So I've drawn a little picture for you. 1 to 4 units in the building, in the house, on the property, on this parcel ID, it is if it's 2 to 4, it's multifamily. If it's 2 to 4 units, it's multifamily residential. Residential is the zoning. That's the zoning for the land. The city or county has decided that this land is zoned either residential or commercial. And if the city says this land is residential, you can probably only put up to 4 units on that land. But if the city or the county says, well, this land is zoned commercial, then it could have 5 units or more. 1 unit is single family residential. All right, 1 unit is single family residential. 1 single family residential. SFR is single family residential. 2 to 4 units is multifamily residential. 5 units or more, 5 is the magic number. 5 units under the roof makes it commercial. And the land needs to be zoned commercial. So let's have some fun. If you came across this property and there was 1 family living in it, what would it be? It'd be a single family residential, right? And residential is where we reside. It's our residence. It's where people live. But if you came across the same property and there was 4 families living in there, and they each had their own electric, they each had their own water, they each had their own private bathroom, private bedrooms, they weren't sharing, then it would be a quadplex and it would be a multi-family residential. 2 to 4 units. All right. Now I know 4 families could live under 1 roof, but it won't be very peaceful for very long. All right. But 4 families living in 4 units could be peaceful forever. If you came across this property and it had 10 families, it would be multifamily commercial. If there are 10 units under one roof, it's a 10-unit complex and it is commercial. If you came across this property and it had this building and there was 5 of these buildings, they each had 6 units, and that can totally happen. That's a 6-unit building, which makes it commercial because it's more than 5, and there's 5 buildings on the same parcel. It is definitely multifamily commercial. And this means there's 30 families living on the same parcel. And a parcel is how we look at land. And sometimes if you see a fence or a fence row, sometimes that fence row is to keep the cattle in, sometimes it's to keep the kids in, but sometimes it's to show the property lines. It's to say that this is my parcel, don't come in it. You can look at property parcel IDs, and every deed, every piece of dirt is going to have a number attached to it, and that's how we're going to know. It's like that property's social security number. Every property has a parcel ID number, and every parcel ID reflects back to a piece of paper called a deed. Just like our social security number reflects back to our social security card. Most of you have it memorized, but most of us never take the time to remember our parcel ID numbers because it just doesn't matter. Nobody really pays attention to it. We remember our street address, which may or may not reflect the actual parcel ID. 5 buildings with 6 units in each equals 30 families on that parcel ID. Now, let's look at this. What if we found a parcel that had 3 buildings on it and it looked like this? There was a house, a single family residence, there was 6 units, and there was 4. There was a quadplex, but it's all on the same parcel. What is that called? Because 1 is single family residential, 4 is multifamily residential, but there's a 6, and that puts us in multifamily commercial. But all together, it equals 11 units. Altogether, it equals 11 units. 6 and 4 is 10, and the house is 11. All on the same parcel. So when you look at this parcel ID, it says building number 1 is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. Building number 2 is a 6-unit, 2-bedroom, 1-bath each. And building number 3 is a 4-unit with 2 bedrooms and 1 bath each. It's kind of confusing, huh? It's not. It doesn't need to be confusing, okay? Whatever is on that parcel is what the land is zoned. And when it's all on the same parcel, you add up the whole total and then decide what it is. So even though there's a single family residential, and even though there's a there's a multifamily residential, altogether it's 11 units on the same parcel, which definitely takes it over the 5-unit limit. And I'll tell y'all, I own this apartment complex. And there's probably lots of apartment complexes like this, but this is actually the very first apartment complex that I bought. It's 1 parcel ID, and when you're looking at it from the street, this is what it looks like, okay? So the highway is here, and actually the septic lines are back here. This circle should go like that. But this is pretty much what my land looks like. There's a house that we rent to a lady. There's a building, and when you look at it from the street, you see it kind of cut in half. And on the top, there's 3 doors. And then when you drive around the back of the building, there's 3 doors. And the same with this quadplex. When you're looking at it from the street, you see 2 doors up top and 2 doors basically in the basement. Now I messed up on a deal one time because when I drove by it on the street, I could see the 2 doors up top, but I couldn't see the 2 doors in the basement, which made it a quadplex. Now I talked to that seller, we worked it all out, everything's cool. But when you're driving around, when you're looking for multifamily investing, when you're looking for bigger deals, don't forget to look at the whole parcel. And don't forget that if you see a building that's got 3 doors on it, it may have a backside with 3 more doors on the basement level. Or it may be that you could see 1 door up front, but then there's a staircase that goes up here, and maybe they have a second unit, which makes it a duplex, in the roof up there, in the attic. As you're driving around, as you're looking for multifamily, as you're getting into multifamily investing, be open to all sorts of different possibilities. I could very easily have found a parcel that had 4 buildings on it, each with 4 units, which would have been 16 units right on the same parcel ID. But I didn't. I didn't find this. I found a house sitting next to a 6, sitting next to a 4. And guess what? There's another parcel right here. And these parcels actually connect. Okay? Like this line, pretend this one's not here. And then there's another house right here, and it's got 5 units. So this parcel goes along the highway and it has 11 units. And then this parcel, there's a road that goes right here. This one has 5, but they connect right here. So there's Landmark Apartments with 11 units, and there's Boone Apartments with 5. So because I was open for anything and everything, 11 plus 5 is 16 units. I've got 16 units in a half a block because I was open to multifamily investing. It's all zoned correctly. It's all mapped correctly. It's all good. Boone is the 5 units. They've got their own septic. They've got their own prices. They've got their own tenants. They've got their own identity. But I'll tell you that the people that live in the 5 move over to Landmark, and the people in Landmark move over to the 5, and sometimes the people here move into the house, and it's a great situation. And if you drive around, you will find some properties just like this. And I would really encourage you to get into multifamily investing and learn the differences and learn how to spot them. Start looking at empty houses, but also start looking for empty quadplexes. Start looking for empty 6 units. And when you drive by the highway, all 3 of these buildings have the same siding on it, and they share a parking lot right out front. So even if I was just driving by and just checking out the neighborhood and looking at what's going on, I would see that these properties are probably on the same parcel, even if there's not a fence up. And I'll tell you, there's no secrets in real estate, so I'll just go ahead and tell you. These 11 units, my husband and I own the 11 units, and we own the 5 units, and we bought these from a bank. We actually found all 16 of these units going through foreclosure. And when you hear me talk about houses, I avoid foreclosure like the plague. But because I was open to it and I was open to multifamily investing, we paid $225 for these 11 doors. And here in East Tennessee, my most expensive house I've ever bought was $225. These things rent for about $500 a month times 11. That's what, $5,500? The house I paid $225 for rented for $1,200 a month. The money, the income, the money out, the purchase price is the same, but the money in is totally different. And even though I was half price, I still gross way more money. I'll also tell you why I'm on a roll here. The 5 unit at Boone that connects, we paid $125. You can buy houses all day long for $125, and they'll rent for $800 to $1,000. But that 5 unit rents for about $550 a unit. So $25, maybe $3,000 a month. So $3,000 from there, $5,000 from over here, give or take crazy things that happen. That's $8,000 a month for a $350,000 investment that we didn't use any of our money to actually purchase. Yes, we bought it out of foreclosure. Yes, I actually do have mortgages on these things, but I don't have any money, none of my own personal money invested in this. So when it comes in, it makes its mortgage payment, and then the rest of the money comes to me. I'll teach you how to do that, and I'll teach you more in depth about what I'm talking about. I'll even maybe one day tell you why these apartment complexes were in foreclosure, but not today. I think you've learned enough for today. Be sure to come back though, because I got another video. I will tell you about those deals. I will tell you the stories about them. And if you have any questions, if I missed anything, drop me a comment. If you want to show some love, drop me a comment. If you want to know how to do this, how to spot these, how to negotiate it, how to write the contract, how to actually close it, I'll teach you how to do that in Apartment Blitz. Apartment Blitz is the program that I created to show you how to actually get these multifamily investing deals done fast. Blitz fast. Apartment Blitz. Let's buy some apartments fast. All the details are on apartmentblitz.com. All right, I'll see y'all later.